down our picks for the top 10 worst voice acting in cartoons. Number 10, the Powerpuff Girls. Powerpuff Girls. Although the Powerpuff Girls were beloved when they first started saving the day in the late 90s, the trio of superheroes wasn't welcomed with open arms on Cartoon Network in 2016. One of the main reasons they were widely rejected was because the main three voices were recast. Buttercup, Bubbles, and Blossom all had new performers behind them, but not all of them followed the same pattern. While Blossom's voice at least somewhat resembled the original, Bubbles just didn't sound as sweet as she used to.
You just have stage fright.
Buttercup's new voice was especially jarring for longtime viewers who were used to E.G. Daly's rendition.
I don't think that's really anybody.
Number 9, Warpnik, Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Dr. Warpnik is the cousin of Dr. Robotnik who got sent away to the Warp of Confusion. While there, some of his screws were permanently knocked loose. And you might just go insane too if you listen to him for too long. His high-pitched laughs are like nails scraping across a chalkboard. On top of that, Dr. Warpnik is so immature that every single one of his lines comes off like he's an obnoxious, overgrown toddler. Quiet! It's almost as if he was scientifically designed to give us a headache. While Dr. Warpnik is also an inventor, he unfortunately never invented an off switch for himself. The only silver lining about the character is that he only appears in one episode of the series. Number 8, Augustus St. Cloud, The Venture Brothers. Augustus St. Cloud speaks like a man with purpose, or at least he tries to. Honestly, we don't really like listening to him all that much. The truth is that the supervillainous member of the Guild of Calamitous Intent is far more style than substance. Listening to him over-articulate every word is rough because he comes off as so arrogant. His tiresome voice, in addition to his, let's just call it, eccentric personality, make him one of the worst characters on the show. He hardly instills fear, instead coming across as more of a laughingstock.
I will get you.
Number 7, Amanda Killman, Bunsen is a Beast. This mean-spirited middle schooler is obsessed with forcing the titular beast Bunsen out of their town, but her elaborate plots tend to blow up in her face.
I put boom boom powder in the piano.
As Amanda speaks her plans aloud, her voice is likely to get on your nerves. She spends a large chunk of screen time either whining or talking about her bad behavior with a grating voice. Amanda's speech impediment is also exaggerated to the point that it can be hard to understand everything that she's saying.
Time to pepper Monroe in the beast stay with evil by loosening this pepper top.
Number 6, Gus Turner, Robot Boy. Gus is a supporting character from Robot Boy. The show fittingly follows a metallic lead trying to fit in with the rest of society. Ironically, Robot Boy's voice sounds more human and natural than anything Gus says. The human kid's voice is absolutely irritating. It constantly sounds like someone is doing their worst impression of Cartman from South Park. But unlike that adult comedy character, Gus isn't funny or charming enough to justify the voice. Surprisingly, the Robot Boy character sounded pretty tame at first, but as the show went on, his voice only grew higher, louder, and more annoying.
I think we ought to put an elevator in this tree.
Number 5, Sheen, Planet Sheen. For a majority of his time in the role, Jeffrey Garcia knocked it out of the park with his portrayal of Sheen.
You disappoint me, Jimmy.
But when the character got his own show in 2010, he started to become unbearable. The most likely culprit is that Sheen's status as a supporting character on Jimmy Neutron kept us from hearing his shrill tones for too long.
Like my Uncle Miguel always said, you gotta stop and smell the milkshakes.
As soon as he was given the main stage, it became clear that fans weren't meant to get this much of the character. Number 4, Link, The Legend of Zelda. One of the most notable things about Link throughout his franchise is how little he speaks. But you probably wouldn't have guessed that if you saw the animated series from 1989. In that particular show, Link talks a lot, and we kind of wish he didn't.
Hey, excuse me, princess.
Not only does he sound obnoxious and kind of like a jerk, but his lip syncing needed some work at times. On more than one occasion, voices of many characters like Link's wouldn't quite match up to their mouths. Having to listen to this terrible Link with jarringly out-of-sync animation made watching this cartoon worse than getting hit by Ganon.
Zelda, you alright?
I'm fine.
Number 3, Skibo, Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures. Within this world, Paxter, aka the titular Pac-Man, juggles his responsibility to keep Pac-World safe from ghosts and a high school career at the same time. And you know, it wouldn't be a show set in high school without a stereotypical dumb jock. That role belongs to Skibo. The antagonist's voice is annoying, shrill, and way too over the top.
I'm so gonna wail on you!
Skibo's voice contains all the worst characteristics of every stereotypical jock character without adding charm or originality. When he's not whining, he's trying to chase Paxter down, but we do not want him or his voice to catch up. Number 2, Shaggy. Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue. Honestly, this performance just sounds like someone doing a poor impression of Shaggy, rather than making us believe an actor was embodying the character.
The most beautiful words in the world. All you can eat.
Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue spun the famous duo off into adventures that were mostly separate from their friends. This interesting concept was soured by Shaggy's voice. While Scott Menville is a superb voice actor, you can hear him slip in and out of the character's tones. This made Shaggy sound inauthentic and a bit off, and while his voice cracks are normally endearing, they're extremely grating because he gets so much attention. Overall, fans felt like Menville didn't truly embody the character. Number 1, Uncle Grandpa. Uncle Grandpa. Serving as the titular lead of the show, this shapeshifter spends his days getting into all kinds of wacky trouble. We'd enjoy his hijinks a lot more if he had a completely different voice. Uncle Grandpa was definitely designed to be a silly and eccentric character. Unfortunately, actor Peter Braungart did his job way too well. Uncle Grandpa's painfully slow drawl and deep voice make him a chore to listen to. This performance is so grating that his idiotic and obnoxious actions are a lot harder to stomach. While Uncle Grandpa starts his day by saying good morning, it's never a good day when you have to hear him.
Good morning.